Hi, I'm Nord, and this is TLDR Plays, the series where we review games in 5 minutes or less so that you can decide whether they're right for you. Cuisineer is a wholesome, food-focused game that challenges you to earn your dinner the hard way by fighting it in a dungeon. Blending action roguelike dungeon delving and cozy restaurant management, this game is an unexpected delight that I found hard to put down. You play as Pom, a reluctant restaurateur who takes over her parents' restaurant in the town of Pael. Pom's parents have set off to explore the world, leaving very little behind apart from the restaurant itself and a sizable debt. In Pael, you'll meet a wide range of interesting characters who may very well have quests for you to complete. Most of these quests involve providing some form of food in exchange for learning new recipes, which you can then cook to turn a profit. Collecting these recipes was one of my favourite aspects of the game, as they present each recipe with mouth-watering descriptions and beautiful illustrations in a style that reminds me of the food in Ghibli films. To cook these recipes, however, you'll need ingredients, and there's only one way to gather these: braving dungeons to slay adorable and sometimes helpless critters. I'll admit that sometimes I felt bad stomping some of the critters that barely fight back, but the further you progress, the more dangerous these foes become, and some are a real nightmare to deal with. You start your journey with a giant spatula and stacks of plates as your only weapons, though as you progress, you are able to swap out your spatula for other unusual weapons, from knives and meat tenderizers to a giant fish that slaps its way through enemies. While the range of weapons is interesting, I found myself reverting to the spatula for most of the game, as it was incredibly satisfying using it to swipe at enemies before landing a crushing blow. You're also able to upgrade weapons, providing additional effects and damage abilities. To upgrade a weapon, you'll need to visit Ankaloon at the local brewery. Ankaloon lets you upgrade your weapon abilities by paying a modest amount of gold, using food dishes to unlock additional combat effects. I was honestly hooked by the dungeon crawling aspect. The combination of wholesome aesthetics and challenging combats kept me wanting more, though it would be nice to unlock more interesting rewards from boss encounters, as these currently only give you a chest filled with more of the ingredients you've already collected. As you gather ingredients, you do have to keep inventory management in mind, as you start with limited slots in your backpack. This can mean that you've filled your inventory before even progressing onto a second level, and I regularly found I was having to delete common items to make space for more special ingredients. I would suggest upgrading your bag space as soon as possible by speaking to Pastel Donata, an NPC that appears in the lower section of the town, as this will improve your gameplay experience drastically. Once you have your ingredients, it's time to open the restaurant. For the restaurant management part of the game, you'll be juggling actions to keep the customers happy. Dishes will need to be cooked or prepared at different stations depending on the recipe, and to start with, you are only able to cook one dish at a time for each station, meaning that backlogs can form quickly if you don't keep on top of things. While you're trying to keep on top of all the customer orders, you'll also need to keep an eye on the till area to ensure customers pay for their food before leaving. This till is annoyingly placed away from the cooking area, so you'll have to run back and forth between cooking orders and collecting payments the entire time. This can become particularly challenging during rush periods, as there will be a constant flow of orders to make and payments to collect. The lunch rush is no joke. As you make money and gather resources, you're able to upgrade your restaurant, increasing its size and updating it with furnishings and decor. I really enjoyed the decoration aspect. There are a range of furnishing styles to choose from, and most are not too challenging to gather materials and costs for. Cuisineer's combination of restaurant management and action roguelike dungeons make for a cozy, enjoyable experience. While there were some issues with frame rate stuttering at times, gameplay was a smooth experience for the most part, and the game does a great job at making repetitive gameplay feel dynamic and engaging. One tiny criticism I have for the game is with its loading screens, as the static image breaks immersion while you're waiting for the game to load between each zone. This is ultimately a personal preference thing, but with such an adorable art style and character design, I would have preferred something a little more eye-catching while you're waiting, like a simple animation of the main character walking on the spot. I genuinely enjoyed this delectable adventure, and I would highly recommend it to cozy gamers and foodies alike. Cuisineer is out now, exclusive to Steam for PC for around $25. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to keep up with all those indie games out there. Bye!